Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. New headset. Turned out that the other one started to give a whole lot of problems, so we tried a better one. Let's hope this one works out much better. No delays, no anything in it. Anyhow, welcome aboard, Bridge MCP. Welcome to the show, Peggy Lopez. Welcome to the show, E2247. Of course, there is John Gornick, welcome aboard. E2247, welcome, welcome, welcome. And Sarah Beach, welcome aboard. Melanie Keaton from our great country of Spain. Uh, Bridge, where wasn't Michael here yesterday for our cast? I don't know where Michael was. Tom C says, hello all, hope Michael is okay. So are you telling me that he wasn't here yesterday? He was there the day before yesterday. I'll check up on him after the show. We need to make sure our buddy is in good shape. I wish he would check in and let us know. How's everybody doing? Great to see you guys here. Okay, Bridge MCP says, hey peeps. E2247 says, hello relatives. Today's visit will be the greatest ever visit for once. No, that is for every time, my dear brother E2247. Sarah BT says, hey ya. Jan Gormick says, buenos días, amigos. Y yo le digo a mi amiga, buenas tardes, hasta aquí en Washington, D.C. Para ver quién más está aquí, Happy Globes says, hi all. And let's see who else is coming in. Tom C says, hello, hope Michael is okay, E2247. Welcome aboard. Yvette Avery Herod, welcome aboard this afternoon to the PDR Posse from Yvette. Melanie Keaton says, how's it going, Bri? Thank you guys for being here. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. Let me first tell you that I have an interview. I didn't process it yesterday with Marlon Weems. He's a friend of mine from Medium. We both write at Medium, and we were talking capitalism last night, and we did an interview for that because we covered subjects that I wanted to cover, but I had so much going on, I didn't get a chance to prepare that video. So what I did is I have a whole lot of snippets that I want to talk about and discuss today. Also, if there are any particular outstanding issues that anybody here wants to cover, Alistair Waters, welcome aboard, my dear beautiful friend. Norman Reynolds says, hey everyone, how you doing, Norman? Welcome aboard, welcome aboard, welcome aboard. Look like our posse is showing up. Everybody's here. Great to see you guys. Okay, I tell you what, before I go to my first video, and since we didn't get our beginnings from Michael Rudnin, why don't somebody just send Michael Rudnin a direct message and see if he responds? I just want to make sure that he's okay because he said that sore throat was not going away. It came kind of sudden, but it didn't go away. I want to check up on our brother. Anybody can go ahead and look for Michael Rudnin and check it up while we continue with the show, and then I'll see how I can get in touch with him thereafter. Bruce Pollard says, jumping on the bus now, drive on. The price of gas dropped 20 cents today. Go figure. It's a ripoff. Look, I don't know how many of you saw the video that I made. I did PM him. Thank you, Breach. Let's see if he'll respond. Um, uh, Bruce, let me tell you something that gets me, right? And I want you guys to think about this. Carl Cox, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I want you guys to think about this. A lot of the oil that we drill for is on public lands. It takes expertise, it takes technology, it takes intellect to design the system that drills and goes for that oil. Understood. That investment should be recovered, of course, no doubt about it. Now, there are different ways of looking at it. Personally speaking, I am not for private investors saying I am going to go ahead and go onto public lands without having before a fixed contract with the public. It's public lands, right? But that's not what occurs right now. Right now, people have the technology to drill. They go onto public lands, they drill, they take the oil out that should really belong to all of us. All of us that's been here, that oil should belong to. But no, they pay a marginal tax on extraction, and then they get all the spoils, and their investors and the wealthy folks with capital get the income. Anybody sees that's listening to me here? Don't you see a problem with that being a permanent wealth draw on the nation, a permanent transfer of wealth, national wealth to private wealth? Do you see that? And what I want to see is I want to hear if there's an not an alternative, but a pushback on that because I want to get this narrative straight. In other words, again, we have public lands. There are minerals on public lands that the creator, whoever created things, put there. In the case of oil, we know it's a decaying of organic material. That was not placed by these investors? That was not placed. These investors are recovering this stuff. Is it fair after they've recovered it to take all the spoils and not partake it with the country proper? Your thoughts on that? Bruce says, imaginary relationships between supply and demand really a test of how much they can squeeze out of their slaves or how can they influence public opinion. That is exactly, I mean, you know what? You just hit two things on the head, Bruce. How do you influence public opinion? You can actually create large create inflation so that whatever political party or political folks are involved looks like the guilty party and get kicked out of there. One of the reasons I am trying to abstract inflation from politics, meaning from political actors, is because political actors don't have pricing power. When you paid that $4.40 a gallon, check this out. Americans are not using a substantially less amount of gasoline, or any energy. They're just paying more, which means they're saving less and they're having less leisure, etc. What that and by the way, and the oil companies' coffers are filling up. These are numbers. What this means is that there really, as far as Americans are concerned, there really no shortage of gasoline, petroleum. Let's go a bit further. When we look at what the price of gasoline is today at $100 a barrel barrel oil, compared to when it was $150 barrel several years ago, it only got to $3.50. It tells you those with pricing power are the ones who control the economy, and this has very little to do with the government other than the government should get in there and say, no mas, we are nationalizing the energy sector. Punto y final. A lot of people will say, oh, you communist. I'm not a communist. It's time, anything that hurts the American people, and that's needed. America has said this. America said oil is something in their national interest. That's what we say. And we also say in our documents, we will go to war for anybody who disrupts the flow of oil to America because it's a national security issue. So we are willing to go to war if an external force makes it difficult for our corporations to get oil to sell to us. Then why can't we, the people, do the same thing? If energy is existential, as such, if we have private corporations trying to redistribute wealth upwards by forcing us to pay whatever the market will bear for their product, maybe it's time to nationalize that industry. And as Tom Hartman pointed out several days ago, I didn't see this till this morning. It seems like America has nationalized companies under these types of situations many, many times. Whenever, and in fact, it's sort of the barrier as far as behave corporations, because remember, you are a legal entity created by us, and we can neuter you. Bruce says correlation coefficient of supply to price is not close to one. Exactly right. Uh, Eric Hayes, Eric is always on this thing that he needs to try to bash the Bidens, right? In other words, it's a material to the discussion, but Eric, there's almost a almost a savant nature to Eric's attack on Biden. It's almost like I gotta go there everything all the time. Or it's almost savant in nature, you know? I think that's the way I think that's it, but correct me if I'm wrong if that's not the modus operandi. All right. He says, Ashley Biden, daughter of our fearless leader, why after Project Veritas got her dicey diary that he did not disclose information based on this ethics gets wrecked by DOJ and FBI? Now they have a 50-page document showing the federal government broke the law, and now we'll have some issues all over a diary that apparently has info on old Joe. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. How funny. Anyway, now, Carl Cox says, public land doesn't mean anything to the mining of minerals, harvesting of timber on public land, ranchers grazing their cattle on public land because legalized bribe is all that it counts. But if you have trees on your land, right, and it cut down and you make a few dollars from the trees on your land, and then you go ahead and replant it yourself, you are doing the work to generate. You are in fact the manufacturer of the sources that are going to sink carbon into trees. Okay, so I don't mind you selling the trees on your land, but the oil is a fixed resource. It never comes back when you get it out, right? You have to depend on decaying material over millions of years, right? So that's the difference. All right, Eric Hayes says, can't nationalize what is a private business, Egberto. Let's nationalize the media openings that is already done, was done right, but now you have a billionaire to balance that with Twitter. Ah, that's a joke. Yes, you can nationalize anything. We are the government. We can do as we please. Jacob Jacob Santillane from KPFT, is that you? I haven't heard from you in years. How have you been? You had hooked up, I think, with some. Did somebody tell me you kind of hooked up with folks on some kind of right wing group? Tell me if I'm wrong. I want to know that. But end subsidized student loans, restrict them to STEM fields, seize university endowments for a one-time debt jubilee, and emphasize trade over BS worthless degrees in K through 12. Actually, there's quite a bit of merit to what you just said, Santien. Sure, some merit. Santien actually worked with me at KPFT. In fact, he was my engineer a couple of times. Peggy Lopez says, and now tell us about the right wing group that you hooked up with. I hope it's not what I think. Peggy Lopez, I would love Pacific Gas and Electric to be nationalized so that the money paid for services would go for needed repairs and not inflated payments to higher ups. I agree 100%. Pacifica was sued so many times for causing so many forest fires. A lot of those acres and acres that were burnt, they should pay for it. Maywood says, good afternoon, everyone. Eric Hayes says, read between the lines on the Biden news, Egberto. It's an infringement of independent media like you have here, right? No, it's not. Jacob Santien, it sure is, and he says he'll reach out soon. I'll be waiting for you, brother. I don't know what the reference is, but I'm willing to have a chat. Yes, we should have a chat. And in fact, I may give you an interview. As I recall, you had your podcast, and you have some very good. I think we could get some good information out of you, brother. Norman says, see my note about an imagined hyper-regulated energy sector rather than nationalized. Also, there is the laptop, it is external hard drive. Thank you very much for, I told them that you sent me that thing a couple of days ago, Norman. I don't think you were on the show when I did that. Let's see what Norman says. You said you had, imagine a non-nationalized energy sector, but a hyper-regulated one. Look, I would compromise on that, Norman. I would compromise on heavily regulated because even if when I talk about nationalized, that's pretty much what I think it would be, right? It's almost like NASA. NASA is run by the government, but we go ahead and we hire independent contractors with different expertise to do certain things. And why is that a good leverage? Let me give an example. If we're going to build a capsule that's going to Mars, right? Here's what we do. We say, okay, we want a company who knows how to build cylinders that can withstand this kind of pressures, right? They also build those cylinders for 100 other companies. So they won't only be building them for us. So Martin Takal does stuff for other people, right? So therefore, we can leverage that cost. Okay, so it makes sense to get an independent contractor there. But let me tell you where it doesn't make any sense. When you go to Iraq, and you have your mess halls, etc. To bring in private companies to serve food for what you could employ soldiers to do at a lesser cost proves the point. But yes, I am with you, dear Norman. All right, let's see what else we got. Eric says using the DOJ and FBI to quiet and strong arm Veritas is completely wrong. ACLU even sides with them, and you support that right. Veritas is not a media organization, and that's where the ACLU goes wrong. Veritas is a terrorist organization. Okay? I will repeat. Veritas is a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization doesn't have to only use bombs and guns. It can actually use techniques that terrorize based on quite a bit. In fact, I consider our former president as well a terrorist after January 6th and other issues. So that is my answer. You cannot compare Veritas with what I do or what with not even what Fox News does. Veritas is a terrorist organization. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric Maywood says, I'll have to look into this after the show, but somehow I'm suspicious of your sources. Yeah, I mean, Eric Hayes' sources are generally doesn't. Eric usually uses horrendously misleading, lying sources. I'm sorry, Eric, I love you, but that's just the truth. You try to find sources that proves a point, however false, that you want to make. When I'm corrected, I have no problem correcting and saying, guys, I was wrong here if you find me wrong on any issue. But what Eric Hayes and many on the right do is they go ahead and they try to find something that corroborates what they say. And there's always some hack that is willing to write something that corroborates the lies of the right. Carl Cox says conservatives hate regulations because it means they won't get as much money in the form of legalized bribery as they do when their puppet masters, the mega rich corporations, make more money. Agreed. Bridge MCP says excluding the Biden daughter thing. John Cornick says, are they cherry pick? Well, yeah. Peggy Lopez says, I agree with heavy regulating as long as regulation also includes bosses pay 3 times the pay of workers. Bosses will raise the wages of workers if the bosses pay is connected to workers' pay. And you know something, Lopez? That is actually a very good idea. I mean, that would force, I mean, if the bosses couldn't make more than the median, X amount times the median worker, watch how quickly those median worker wages go up. They'll try some gimmicks to skew it, right? But we can de-skew it for them. Remember de-skewing? Anyhow, our good old Texas representative Henry Cuellar, a what I call a neoliberal hack, a democratic neoliberal hack. Listen to him today on Chuck Todd with Chuck Todd. I think he made a complete fool of himself, but you know what? It was coming. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's get that here now. This is what you have when you a neoliberal corporate sellout is finally getting his due. I want you to listen to this with Chuck Todd, and then we'll take it on the other side because it is beautiful.
Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar. He is running for re-election in Texas's 28th district. He faces Jessica Cisneros in a Democratic runoff next month. Do you understand why the FBI came to your home?
Well, look, I have a deep respect for law enforcement. I got 3 brothers that are peace officers. And again, you know, we'll cooperate. But I think at the end of the day, they will show that there's no wrongdoing in this situation. And we're going to win this election way.
What assurance did you get that you're not a target?
Again, I'll let my attorney speak to that. But again, we'll cooperate. At the end of the day, Chuck, it will show that there's no wrongdoing, and we're going to win this re-election again.
Does this have to do with a relationship that some viewed as inappropriate with a donor?
Again, like I just said to you, Chuck, I'll let my attorney say that, but we're cooperating with law enforcement. I have a deep respect for law enforcement. I got 3 brothers that are peace officers, and we'll continue working with them. But at the end of the day, there will be no wrongdoing, and we're going to win this re-election.
You pledged to voters that if you win re-election, this is not going to upend your career.
That is correct. They will show that there's no wrongdoing, and we're going to win this re-election.
Wow, how robotic. And the lawyer have him fixed exactly the way He's supposed to speak and what he's supposed to say. We had no wrongdoing, and we are going to win this election, my dear friend, Senor Cuellar. It's finally coming home to roost. You have given up on your people, and you know what? Jessica Cisneros will be taking over that office, the re-election, and there's no re-election for you. Jessica Cisneros will be our next representative out of your district. That's what we are going to do. That's what we intend to do. That's what will happen. No more excuses. It's over for all of you that get all the votes from those people who count. And when it is time to support them, you're never there. Cisneros will be on the roll. I have no idea what Cisneros is doing, or not Cisneros. I have no idea what El Señor um, Cuellar is doing in the Democratic Party. He doesn't belong there because he is a neoliberal corporate hack. I don't like to be too vicious in that regards, but absolutely so. Okay. Eric Hayes says, no, Piggy Lopez says, I agree with regulating as long I got that one already. Eric Hayes says, nope. You wait till the spending catches up in the form of recession, and post families are now forced to pay 5K more over the year per JP Morgan. I know I don't want them to pay. You see, if what I want politicians to do is get a spine and take back all the monies that those thieves have taken out of the economy. Those thugs in ties and suits, the thugs in ties and suits, the one that are costing us $4.50 for gasoline, and then when you look at their profit sheet, you realize that in effect that was just a transfer of wealth from my pocket, your pocket, into the wealthy person's pocket. Eric, stop being a slave, my brother. They're picking your pocket, and it's not going into Biden's pocket. It's not going into Biden's friends' pockets. It's going into Republican friends' pockets. You know what's so funny? And when I talk about people acting like they don't have a mind to think, this is what I mean, brother. Think about this. The people who are profiting from high gas prices, from high prices in chicken and all of that, are all Republican corporation voters, right? So they raise their prices. Their income statement says they're making a whole lot more money. Their profit statement says they're making a hell of a lot more profits. So here it is. Here's this. They are the ones with pricing power to raise the prices. They are the ones who raise the prices. They are the ones who are moving the money from the average American citizens into their pockets. These are the same guys who vote and support Republicans. And then you say, whose fault is it again that all that money is getting transferred to these wealthy guys? Oh, it's Biden's fault. It's the Democrats' fault. That shows you how effectively they know that you are not a thinker. The people that make the money, Republicans. The people with the price and power, Republicans. All of these things. So they're taking your money. And then when it's time to put the blame, Eric says, oh, but it's Biden. It's Biden. Biden is not the one holding the money. The Republicans are the ones holding the money. But it's his fault. Do you see why we can't take certain people seriously? Do you understand why now? Look where the money is. Follow the money. Whose hands is it in? Follow the money. And then you still want to blame? What can I say? All right, let's see. E2247 says, epic story epic story of African Americans fought the right to arm to fight the Confederacy, and then as soldiers led a revolution, it defeats slavery. True. After decades of nonviolent resistance, abolitionists took up arms and started killing pro-slavery forces in Bleeding, Kansas, leading to the U.S. Civil War. Lee Grant says, hi, Egberto, you've said Veterans is a terrorist organization several times with increased intensity. This is not an argument. Do you have any evidence of this? Yes, I do. What they did to that organization, they actually, remember, with define terrorism. You use political means to attain that particular goal, okay? And that's what they did to get rid of, I can't remember that organization that used to register people to vote politically. I can't remember the name of the organization, but they did all kinds of lies that actually caused that organization to fold. They played like they were a media organization. They were a terrorist organization, brother Lee Grant. E2247 says, prequel to our recent episode, Like Men of Wars, how black soldiers whipped the Confederacy with Eugene Purr. Good, thank you. Egberto, what did you prove here with, let's see, what did you prove here with Todd Thing? What I proved there is exactly the type of person Quayad is. In other words, the thug, you know, who, we've been watching for a very, very long time, when he got neutered. He was just quiet. He got neutered. That's what I was trying to show. How he's a bold person when he's talking up for his corporations. You listen to him talk. I am not going to do this, and this is going to raise this, and that's how he talks. Now he's in front of a camera talking about the FBI probe. Talk to my lawyer, please. Talk to my lawyer, and I am going to win. I'm going to win. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to win. It's a different view altogether. I guess you have to know who he is to get what I'm saying. Bridge MCP says Project Veritas is an American far-right activist group founded by James O'Keefe in 2010. The group produces deceptively edited videos of its undercover operations, which use secret recordings in an effort to discredit mainstream media organizations and progressive groups. And again, like I was saying, Bridge, they actually call. There's a group. I can't remember the group name of the group right now. They used to register. They used to go into minority areas, low white populated areas, and really register people so that they can become a part of the political process. But what do terrorists do? They try to disrupt the political process, like what the terrorists did on January 6th, right? Veritas just did it a different way. Again, a terrorist organization. Let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says, not if you're changing the story to fit your narrative. Thank you, Bridge. You're absolutely right. 20 watching, 14 likes. Come on, folks, give us some more likes. Give us some more likes. We need those likes. Thumbs up, and also print that join. Become a part of the Become part of the posse. Acorn, Lee Grant. I love you, Lee Grant. I love you, Lee Grant. Acorn was the name of the group. You're absolutely right. Acorn did absolutely nothing wrong, but the way they edited, the way they did things, that group completely folded. Karl Cox says conservatives are good propagandists in the best tradition of the Nazi Germany. All right, let's see. Eric Hayes says, what did the organization do? They just brought 6 million house, and how did they get it compared to Veritas? Huh? I don't understand that. All right, let's see. I got another video, but before, David Page says, Veritas, falsely tried to prove that abortion clinics were profiting from selling fetuses. Those are the kinds of things that they've always done. Always done. You can't, they are not a news organization. They're a terrorist organization. They just don't use guns and bombs. They just use the word. Okay. I have another video for you, but since it's 32, let's go ahead and do our ask, and then we'll come back and do the video, assuming that I still have it here, and it looks like I do. So here we go. I'm Egberto Willies, as host of Politics Done Right, a progressive radio media show on Pacifica Network's KPFT 90.1 FM Houston that engages all ideologies. I found that our political angst isn't mostly ideological. There is a well-designed effort by many in power to control us. If we are at each other's throats, we are less likely to demand our economic and local wishes. In that light, I wrote 3 books. I wrote the first one titled, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, to describe the entire economy in a manner we can all understand. It highlights why it was designed to pilfer most as it empowers a few, the chosen. The second book, titled, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, take it to the next level. After understanding how the system pilfers, it is incumbent that we can speak to our peers to empower a change. The third book, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, gives us a place to land. After learning about our economy that is dysfunctional for most and learning how to engage the other side, we point out what would make an economy that works for all. Each book stands on its own, but together they provide the full picture. Please consider getting one or more. You will undoubtedly learn, be entertained, and help us continue the mission with our blogs, articles, videos, and books. And folks, if you take a look at the screen right now, what I did is I put all the different ways in which you can support us there. I'm about to put those links into the feed. You can support us at Patreon by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. We need quite a few more patrons. You can support us at YouTube by going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsandright.com/YouTube. You can support us at PayPal by going to politicsandright.com/PayPal. You can support us by going to our store, politicsandright.com/store. You can also support us at or by getting some of our books, politicsandright.com/books. That's the only way for us. This is all that I do. This is all that we do. And that is to get the message out there. We have a big election coming, and the more we can educate, the more we can inform, the better it's going to be for all of us, Republicans, Democrats, or independents, fascists, whatever. If we can inform people to vote their interests and not be fooled by well-designed psychological warfare that the right plays on Americans. Okay, and again, it is psychological warfare. The fact that we can have an intelligent person like I'm going Chris, like Mike, right? An intelligent person like Eric Hayes, completely wrong about the issues or about most of the issues that he covers. But he's here. I thank him for being here. Still love you, brother. But the fact that he can be so convinced in his wrongness is how effective the right-wing media is. And we can't hold that completely against folks. Yes, where's my face? I wanted to show you guys the link. I need to put my face up there, right? All right, there's my face again. All right, thank you very much, Bridge MCP. So the fact that you can have somebody that is so misled points to the fact of how effective the right-wing media machine is. Okay, let me continue reading some of the stuff here. Eric talking about the woman behind BLM. I think okay. We also have Acorn were stung, attempted to facilitate tax fraud for a human trafficking operation. You see, look at even Lee Grant can be misled. Read up the real story on Acorn and you see what Project Veritas actually did. It's false. David Page says, thanks. Also, Republican congressmen cited Veritas report is unquestionable fact. They got egg on their faces. Ha ha. Yeah, it is funny. Because the funny part about it is even as you prove these people wrong, that some of them have this nature within themselves that they simply don't want to be wrong and try to find every way possible to find somebody that's going to tell them, oh, it's right, it's right. Okay, I have another one here for you, our governor of Texas. And this one has me pissed off. So let me go ahead and tell you first. Let me lead it in. Texas governor claims that he wants better control of the border, and he is pissed off that El Señor Biden is going to get rid of Trump's racist immigration policies, and we can go over that some other time. But you know, he's going to do something about it. And what the clown did is he reduced traffic on the border to a crawl by stopping every truck, and you know, in other words, he's doing everything that supposedly Republicans and conservatives are not supposed to do. So let's go ahead and play this little piece here, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Republican Governor Greg Abbott ordered more commercial vehicle inspections at the Texas-Mexico border, causing major traffic delays. Thousands of inspections are causing long lines in El Paso and Laredo, with drivers waiting as long as 36 hours and having the goods inside their trucks go bad. The situation's so severe that Abbott's own agriculture commissioner is slamming him, warning Texans of food shortages that could lead to price hikes, including $2 lemons and $5 avocados. Even the Wall Street Journal editorial board is calling the governor's move a, quote, stunt that makes the border mess worse. All of this is happening because Abbott wants to protest President Biden for scrapping a Trump-era border policy. That rule, known as Title 42, blocked more than 1.7 million attempted border crossings since the pandemic hit.
And here's how the Wall Street Journal editorial board put it. Governor Abbott's truck inspections are costing Texans and Americans dearly while doing nothing to secure the border. Thousands of trucks are backed up at the border, and commercial traffic has dropped 60% at some ports since last week. This is not solving the border problem. It is increasing the cost of food and adding supply chain shortages, says Texas Agricultural Commissioner Miller. Such a misguided program is going to quickly lead to $2 lemons and $5 avocados and worse. For more of this, let's bring in the reporter covering this story for the Texas Tribune, Mitchell Furman. Mitchell, you know, I noticed yesterday this was starting to blow up a bit in national outlets. I saw it on Twitter. Conservatives, of course, trying to blame Joe Biden for this. It doesn't appear that the Wall Street Journal or the governor's own agricultural commissioner is having anything to do with this. And the truckers, what we're hearing from them is just an absolute nightmare scenario for them getting their items, especially the perishables, across the border.
Not only perishables, electronics, TVs, medical equipment, and other goods are delayed and have been delayed for days, and even at some bridges they have been completely blockaded by Mexican truckers. Those have subsided in the last 18 hours, but for the first half of this week, there was no traffic crossing multiple bridges connected to Texas and Mexico.
All right, let me show something to my conservative brothers that the supply chain problem when it occurs, right? They wanted to blame Biden for something he had no control over. The supply chain problem was created by the private sector's greed. It was created because, one, they decide to offshore a lot of production. Two, they decide to create something known as just-in-time inventory, which means that they expect the flow of goods from overseas to America to be seamless. In other words, they get the product manufactured in China, Vietnam, or elsewhere, Korea. It goes onto a ship. It comes into the port in LA, Houston, Louisiana, or wherever, and just in time to come to the factory where they build the product. And again, that chain runs just fine, right? In previous lifetimes, we always had something known as inventory, where we may keep a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months of product parts so that we could continue the line if there's a hurricane somewhere or whatever. But now these new business people come into the fold and they decide that I can save some money by not having the storage, and I can do all these things, and the profit that we make and the efficiency, they like to call it the efficiency gain. The efficiency we gain can now go into our pockets, the pockets of the investors and the pockets and bonuses to the corporate executives. That's what has happened, right? So now we get a pandemic. And by the way, and they don't want to solve problems that will prevent pandemics, right? They don't want to have the government stock things up that could mitigate the beginning of a pandemic or all of that, because they don't want to pay taxes. So they don't want to pay taxes to mitigate pandemics. They don't want to have inventory. That's why they create just-in-time inventory. And they don't want to pay the American worker, so they export American jobs. So all that supply issue that we have today that is causing inflation that they now want to bilk us for, right? They call it that we are responsible for the supply chain problem. False. It is the private sector. But here is the deal. A Republican governor decide to be and insert himself into the private sector and start to slow down traffic. So now we can actually say the supply chain problem is a Republican governing problem, because they screwed up the supply chain that caused a lot of product to spoil, that caused a lot of product to not be delivered, that causes all these problems that they used to want to accuse Biden of doing, which he had no part of. So here we have those who are inclined to be Republicans who created the supply chain problem with the offshoring, just-in-time inventory, and lack of paying taxes. And we have a Texas governor who decides that he's going to screw with the supply chain by preventing trucks to come over the border as they should. And now even his party has turned against him. Are you guys ready for Governor Beto O'Rourke, Lieutenant Governor Mike Collier? I am. Mike Collier will be our Lieutenant Governor, and Beto O'Rourke will be our governor. I'm talking governor and lieutenant governor of Texas. So anyhow, it is important that we understand these issues. But you know what else? Governor Abbott, he does things in order to create some sort of a reaction. The thing about it is he never helps. He never helps. Think about this. He should have accepted the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Why? Because he would have healed a lot of Texans. A lot of Texans would not have gotten sick and died had he done that. So he didn't do that. So we can call our governor a killer for not supporting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Now we can also call him a disruptor, a negative one, for causing a supply chain disruption. We also can call him an anti-woman person for wanting to control every aspect of a woman's body. Do you not think if Democrats catered a message that perfectly illustrates that this guy is unfit to govern, not based on what he said he's going to do, but based on everything that he has done thus far? Why don't we have Beto? If you need me to help you with that commercial, even though I'm not an expert, I'll help you, Brother Beto. I've interviewed you a couple of times. And by the way, I should be interviewing Brother Beto sometime with KPFT in the very near future. At least that's what the manager has told me thus far. So we'll see how that goes. But again, there is a story to tell about Beto O'Rourke versus Greg Abbott, and about Mike Collier versus Dan Patrick. Two troglodytes, again, two good, not very progressive guys. Neither Beto nor Mike Collier, and by the way, Mike Collier is my neighbor, but neither one of these guys are the most progressive guys, but they are great for Texas. They are great for Texas. So I hope you got that. Okay, it looks like I got a whole lot of messages while I was doing that, so let's get busy. Norman says truck drivers are not paid by the hour, but by the trip. So he also screws their money. Paul said MSNBC should use their heads to help solve the problem. Yes, they should. The volume always changes when videos are played. I just lower it, LOL. Actually, that is my fault as far as the videos. Let me tell you what happens, right? The gain on the audio is not the same as the gain on the videos, and that is something that I have to find some time to correct in the near future. I'm hoping that the new version of Wirecast will be better at that, something that I need to work on. But yeah, it is a problem. Bruce says it's not a bad idea. That is how drugs sneak in, not across the river. We just need to think this out like it was thought out for the air passengers. I love you, Bruce, but I beg to differ in this regard. I don't know if you were here when I gave the story about Panama. The problem isn't on the supply side. The problem is on the demand side. America demands drugs. Okay? If you want to solve the problem at the border with drugs, stop Americans from wanting drugs. We love our drugs. We love our marijuana. We love our coke. We love our amphetamines. We love all of that. In fact, we love it so much that we have a legal sector and an illegal sector. We have the legal sector selling drugs that are more dangerous than the ones coming over from Mexico. If you doubt it, ask my daughter about some of the drugs that she's had to take. So that's all I'm saying. We allow them to design how we think about drugs and all these kinds of things, right? I'm for legalizing everything and then solving the problems afterwards. Because, nobody had to tell me not to do drugs. I didn't do drugs. I'm not trying to be a goody two-shoe at all. I swear to God, I have a lot of friends that do drugs. I love them. And I don't, and by the way, I have a whole lot of friends who drink as well. I don't think drinking alcohol is any different than smoking marijuana. It's any different than taking coke. I had a friend in college that took a lot of coke. His body could handle the coke. He was a fully functional coke addict. He could take coke or he could leave coke alone. Doesn't matter with him. I had another friend in college that the first time he took coke, he became an addict, and it destroyed his life. I have a friend who is an alcoholic, destroyed his life. I have a friend who drinks a lot, like a soul, like a sailor, never gets drunk, and can do without alcohol. Again, it is what we've done with criminalization of drugs. It's crazy. We've made drugs into something that it shouldn't be. And by the way, I just came to this conclusion several years ago when I really sat down and analyzed it. People self-medicate with alcohol, so others may decide to do it with marijuana. Come on, man. All right, let's continue. David Page says, great point, Egberto, about Abbott slowing the truckers. Gracias, hermano. David Page also says, the cost of the truckers, massive amount of money to poor truckers. Absolutely so. Para ver qué más tengo aquí. Bridge MCP said it's in Texas, so has some say, however, what he does is ridiculous. It is. Bruce says they impact at random intervals to stop drugs. We need to inspect every shipment, every package, or we need to register certified shipper and seal the shipment. Just the remaining with high tech. Again, Bruce, I am not in agreement with that. I think I have no I don't do drugs, nor do I want my relatives and families to do drugs. But just like I don't want to control a woman's body, if somebody wants to take drugs, as long as their taking of drugs are not going to affect me, I don't have a problem. Carl Cox, hikes happen because hikes happen goods that, let's see what else. Para ver. Oh, by the way, just a little interjection here. The ship sank. The Ukrainians sank a Russian ship. Wow. One of their most expensive ships. So they're out a few $billions, I guess. All right, Biden's so weak he has control over worldwide inflation. Ridiculous. Thank you, Haiku. That is a very sensible statement. David Page says the ecos his blame for the Texas power failures on windmills. Yeah, think about that. He blamed the windmills for the power failure. Now he wants to build windmills, right? He also didn't tell you that the power failure was caused by gas not being regulated, the power plants not being weatherizing their stuff so that in the winter the gas could flow. Sorry. All right, Alistair Waters says Beto is going to be in Houston on Saturday. Yeah, I won't be there though, but I'm supposed to be interviewing him, Alistair. I'll let you know and give you a sneak preview when I do the interview. Eric Hayes says, Bridge MCP, whoa, you aren't there and so thinking Beto is good for Texas. Nope. Beto is actually very good for Texas. We got a young person and a progressive person. You bet your life he is. Carl Cox says Eric Hayes drinks the poison Kool-Aid. Yes, he does, but I love him still. He's my brother, man. He's my brother. He's my brother. I love Eric Hayes, and I look when you guys hear me talk about my conservatives, Eric and Smith and all these good guys, right? Look, there's nothing better than talking to your people. You know what I mean? So no, we'll talk. Bruce says, good point. Walk down to the Capitol and tell them the secret. Eric Hayes says, cartels are making upwards of $1 million per week on the people smuggling per Texas DPS, not even drugs here. And how many millions are we making selling bombs? How many millions are we making doing a whole lot of things that we shouldn't be doing? I am not trying to justify the coyotes. I'm not. I'm just saying, stop making it seem like these guys are doing something out of the ordinary. Those coyotes are just capitalists. That is what capitalists do. We, as capitalists, we do the same thing overseas, over here, all the time. We have to, as a society, we have to grow up and understand that the problem is not humanity, but economic systems and political systems. And when you understand that, you can then love everybody because you understand that they're just a product of a socio-economic religious system. That's why I can listen to Eric Hayes. That's why I can listen to Bruce. That's why I can listen to Norman and everybody and feel the same good feeling no matter what you say, right? All right. Beto from Norman Reynolds. Beto compared to Abbott, binary choice. We need a change in Texas from managing our domestic energy supply to failure at Medicare expansion to just name Beto is better for me and my fellow Texans. He's absolutely so. Beto, not everyone is like you, and your opinion on drugs is so low to people that lose kids to fentanyl. What about people who lose kids to a fever that they couldn't solve because because the Republicans in Texas didn't give us Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. So you're going to tell me somebody's going to get mad at me because I said I want to legalize drugs so that those people who lost their kids, instead of losing their kids because they had to hide and take drugs, they could take drugs and get the help that they needed. Right? The difference again, though, is that what our Republican legislature is doing by denying people health care, by denying people education, they are killing people. What I am talking about is making people have the options that they can get help or we can provide help to them. Don't conflate them. Open your mind. Windmills and solar is 24% of energy in Texas. Actually, you know what? That is true. Texas is one of the leading states with renewable energy. And that is what makes El Señor Abbott so silly for making the comments that he made. Instead of saying the good thing in Texas is that we had windmills and we had other forms of energy, he tried to make it a political issue since he know that green energy is more associated with the left. Haikoop says if heroin was legal, it wouldn't have fentanyl in it, Eric Hayes. Thank you very much, bro. You're absolutely right. You see, and that's what a lot of people don't get. Beto is an ex-criminal, right? No, it's not. Alistair Waters, borderline is a step away from conservative and a step closer to liberal. I hear you, girl. Eric Hayes says the coyotes are terrorists, period. Point infinite. Really? Okay, then every capitalist is a terrorist then. You know, you take a look, you equate what a coyote does. There are people who need to be smuggled into the United States to get a job, not to conquer. They don't look, let's be clear here. Coyotes are fulfilling a need. Let's stop. This may sound interesting to some, but there are people who want to come to the United States of America. The United States of America hire undocumented workers, okay? They do. The United States of America has corporations who, by design, they hire undocumented worker in the chicken industry and all of that. The government knows it, and most of the times they don't raid them. It's sort of a balance, period. But we know that America's economy depends on a lot of undocumented worker, whether you want to accept that or not. Now that said, they have to get around the migra, these people that want to get over here. And some coyotes, some of them are ruthless, some are not. Some coyotes get the people over here in a more humane manner. Some of them just get them to the border and say, okay, go walk in the desert, and a lot of them die in the desert. That's horrendous. But capitalism does that. We go to Africa and we mine products that are developed, that are pulled out of the ground by kids that die or live short lives. We do that. Capitalism does that. But you see, what I talk about capitalism a lot of ways is it's abstracted, right? The person who owns that diamond shop that makes those sandpaper that has diamonds on it to be effective, they don't see all those dead African kids that are digging in the mines. They don't see that, right? So as far as they're concerned, they can wear their suits and they work for a company that makes diamond sandpaper and they make good monies from it, right? But you don't see what happened behind the scenes. So again, what I try to do with my program here is that we all are educated to reality. It's not about good or bad. When it comes to capitalism, anything goes. The coyotes are fulfilling a job. Manuel Antonio Noriega in Panama was fulfilling a need of the United States, drugs. Those coyotes are fulfilling a need. America needs undocumented workers so that we can pay them less, and that's what they provide. Okay? David Pace says, and that the only purpose of socialism and communism is save people from capitalism. Well, there are some other issues to that, but we'll talk that another time. Eric Hayes says, Coyote is involved in sex trafficking of kids. I love when they bring the kids in. If you want to look at who damages the kids, look at Republican politicians again who refuse to provide support that enhances them, that educates them, that feeds them, that ensures that their families can go to work while they stay in good daycare. Again, talk is cheap. Page, immigration, sadly. Biden has left some of the racist Trump policies in effect. Yes, he has. And now that he's trying to remove some of them, even some Democrats are coming out against him. Amazing, isn't it? Lee Grant says Beto was arrested for something. I think it was, yeah, he was. But so what? A lot of folks on this call probably was arrested for something too, right? Carl Cox says Beto has never been arrested. That's neocon media proposition lies. I don't know. I think he had some issue with the law a few years ago. I don't remember what it was about though. Okay, I had two more videos to do, but you know how you guys get me by talking, and I gotta go. But before I go, I'd like to put all our links up on the screen again and ask you guys to please provide support. If you are on YouTube right now, please go ahead and click that join button. Become a part of our posse. We really can't survive without you. We actually need your support. You can also support us at politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/ let's see, where we go, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. And if you want to find an all-encompassing way to support us, how are all the different ways to support us, whether it's PayPal, whether it is Patreon, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Facebook, whether it is however you can support us, please go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support, and find some way to support us. Look on the screen for the different avenues as well that for which you can use to support us at Politics Done Right. We do important work here, spend a lot of time making sure we get it done. Let me give you guys a little cue now. At 5:30 in about half hour, guess who I'm interviewing? Somebody that you're all gonna like. His name is Dr. Professor Economist Richard Wolff. So I'm going to prepare for Richard Wolff. I interview him at 5:30. I don't know if I'm going to show him tomorrow or Monday. I'm not sure yet. I may show Marlon on tomorrow and Richard Wolff, Dr. Richard Wolff on Monday. We'll see. I'll see how the timing works. But this is one that I want you to tell everybody about. Professor Richard Wolff is going to talk about economics, and we're going to hit some heavy subjects. I intend to hit him up on some heavy pieces. So please, please, please stay tuned. Please share the program. Please make sure others see it. Please go ahead and click that join button, click that join up button, and all that good stuff. Ashley's doing fine. She is studying right now. She's actually on a Zoom right now. Not a Zoom, yeah, with one of those calls. Anyway, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.